Okay, I'm just gonna hit my intro if it works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We are computers. There. To another episode of the Typical Skeptic podcast. I have another fascinating guest with me back today. I have with me Pink Bella Aloha, or Aloha Pink Bella, whichever way you want to say it. But she's a multidimensional starseed awakener. She channels Akashic records. She deals with ascension systems. She works directly with starseeds. She gets deep into it, kind of like Indigo Angel does. You know what I mean? Some of the stuff they say goes over my head. I mean, if you want to talk to me about UFOs and alien abduction, I'm right there. But this stuff sometimes, I mean, I understand it, but it's interesting. But she knows a lot more than me, and she's here to share her knowledge today. And it's gonna be awesome. She's gonna do a collective reading, but we're gonna get into some of the stuff that's been going on with like me and why like things end up the way they do, and it's gonna be interesting to say the least. But I want to give her a big warm welcome to the show. Pink Bella, thank you for coming back on. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Rob. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here today. Aloha, everybody. Aloha High Vibe Tribe.
And honestly, like just to get into some of the stuff you do Ascension, multidimensional guide, 12 chakra energy readings, higher dimensional self liaison, twin flames, star seeds, soul missions, Akashic records, VIP mentorship, life coaching, you got and pet communication. Is that all right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually going to be a vet when I started, like long million years ago. I'd studied the last couple of years of high school. I studied all these sciences because I was going to go into veterinary school because I loved animals so much. I thought everybody could communicate with animals. That was my very first thing that I could do. So apparently
How
not.
did you kind of get into all this esoteric stuff, and then what made you want to go so deep into star seeds?
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I think we touched a little bit on this last time. What happened was most of us end up on our own personal healing journey one way or another. It could be emotional. It could be from a trauma from childhood. It could be something physical that shows up in our reality that makes us have to take notice. And that's a priority. Our physical body will bring in things super quickly so that it says, hey, you have to make me a priority. So what happened was I was in tech for years. I was in tech support and project management for like 20 something years. That's what I studied for, like when I was unconscious. But through all of that, I couldn't find the answers in the regular mainstream to help me with my anxiety, my stress, my things that would get triggered and I wouldn't even want to leave the house. So I slowly started working towards that. And how it happened was I started having a lot of food allergies when I was really young. By the time I hit 16, I had to physically go see somebody because it's like everything I ate, I had a reaction to. And actually, I had somebody in my life who knew who to send me to. So I chose, we all chose where we incarnated, and we can move around on this planet, especially now, more freely compared to the last couple of years. But we chose a place to incarnate, knowing what was going to unfold and who we would be able to go to. So I chose a place on the planet where there already were a lot of naturopaths and a lot of natural healers in the West Coast. We had a little bit of a granola area. So I look back and I think I'm really blessed that I actually had a lot of people to choose from to go see. So every cent that I made went to going to healing sessions. Yeah.
That's so cool. And then how did you get so deep into Starseeds? What I was gonna say is like what you and Indigo Angel and Lightstar do, it kind of reminds me, it's like reminiscent of Ashiana Dean. I was always a big fan of
Yes, I love Ashiana Dean. Yeah, me too. And believe it or not, she just arrived in my reality in the last couple of years. So I've tried to sort of bring in transmissions without a lot of watching a lot of other people, and because we get, we inspire one another, but we also sort of it's like an infiltration. I could watch all of Ascension Dean's information and then just bring it through the same way. So I tried to just listen to people afterwards. But the Starseed thing came to me really early. You wanted to talk about UFOs? I saw UFOs. The first one I saw was, like, say, 18. years old. I was driving home from a club night. And back then it was so forested here, like the highway, the freeway that I took home at night, there was no buildings around. So it was very like dark and stars out, and a bunch of cars were pulled over on the side of the road. So I pulled over and there was this huge ship that showed us all. And that was before the internet. So I just had that experience with all those people. And then, of course, I looked up, nothing was ever said in the news. Nothing in the newspapers was ever said about it. But that was my first, like, oh, and I knew it anyway. I thought they're just letting me know that we're not alone, you know.
And did you feel like it was like extraterrestrial, or did you think it was
Oh, yeah.
or what did you think?
No, it was a huge ship like they showed us later in Star Wars. That kind of thing, but it was more circular, like I can't think of all the movies now. All the, we talked a little bit about this last time. All the movies are downloads and transmissions, even if the writers don't know what they're bringing in.
Yeah, that makes sense, because like it's like, where do they get this information from? It's all channeled. Like I've heard that. I even heard that George Lucas. I think it was George Lucas. I heard he had an NDE, which is interesting. Like I'm not sure. Like, so it makes me think sometimes that people go to the other side and they see stuff and then they bring it back here, or if that inspires them to think outside the box or something.
Well, and I would say a transmission is our creative connection to the universe that brings in information. So many, artists and musicians are bringing in transmissions, even if they're not aware of it. But I think many more are starting to understand that they're doing that. Like it's they say it's a God-given gift, and it is, because they've got a connection to the divine and they're bringing in that information. So yeah.
One thing I wanted to touch on, now that we got caught up with what your past and everything, is this is something really important, because you're a life coach, and like I really think you could help me with this, and it's probably something good to get into. It'll be really interesting for the audience. I mean, I hate bearing my personal stuff out there, but I kind of feel like I have to, because like I have to get over this to move on. And like the person I was with, that I'm about, that like she moved on, she's with someone else, okay, but like it hurt me so bad, because I thought we were so close, that I feel like it left like an emotional tear in my energy field. And then I honestly feel like that manifested like physical issues. That's why I ended up in the emergency room the other day, and like they couldn't find anything that was wrong. They did a CAT scan on me. I let them give me all that radiation. Yeah, I'll admit it. Like, but besides that, they did a urine and they did a blood screen and everything was fine. But I was having extreme abdominal pains. And then besides that, I've noticed that I've been like real bitter. I mean, I'm trying not to be. I've been real bitter and angry. And I was like, well, why am I acting like this? And I was thinking it has to be because of the breakup or what happened. You know what I mean? And I don't know.
I got my little God bumps when you were sharing that. So that's like, you're right on target. That's my little, like, you're absolutely on target. Absolutely. Heartbreak, especially when we're with somebody that we've got a deep soul connection with, and then it ends, and then if they move on, it's devastating. And I'll share with you, we talked a little bit about this last time, these connections are multidimensional. So it's not just a connection from this life. It's you've had other lifetimes with this person. You're talking to someone who went through the exact same thing. The twin flame connection, whether we call it a twin flame, a soulmate, or a divine union connection, is multidimensional. We set it up to meet these souls. And of course we want our happily ever after. Of course we do. But what it does, one of the big messages, besides, obviously your body is trying to transmute the grief, the sadness, the anger, all of that. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But the actual fact of that, when the happily ever after doesn't happen, I'll tell you, 99% of these unions right now are where you are. They're not happily ever after. So people out there who are saying they're twin flames and they're happily ever after, I beg to differ that they are actually twin flames, because a twin flame connection is what you're going through. A twin flame connection is very difficult for both souls to remain in the same frequency and remain together, because there's a frequency shift. Usually one or the other starts quantum jumping into a higher frequency and a higher reality, and then it ends up, if we think about binaural beats, One will go up to like the 900 hertz and the other one will go down. You know what I mean? It's always that. So there's constant friction, there's loops, there's karmic loops, there's traumas. The twin flame connection, what I learned, I was in that connection for 8 years. It's such an accelerated growth period, and that's really what it's all about. The other soul shows up to help us get to a point where we never would have gotten to without them being in our reality. And I know it doesn't help much, but the love is unconditional and it's multidimensional. So there's still a soul love there, but sometimes in this reality, the humans can't find a way to be together because it's just so much work. Like it's a lot of intense work. So the fact, even if we were able to be with somebody for a certain period of time, that was a gift for both of you. And we do lodge emotions in our body. So that's how I started too. I actually went to somebody at some point that once I got through the food allergy part, I went to somebody who did like multidimensional kinesiology. He didn't call it multidimensional back then, but as soon as he started getting into my past lives, he said, I don't do that. And he recommended me to someone else. But up until then, what we worked on was he would test my meridians. So all the meridians are connected to our organs. And then the meridians is like a very detailed map of the chakra system. So let's say, so lung is connected to grief. There's a lung meridian, and that can come up in a session of like energy and grief is stuck in the lung meridian, and anger is in the liver. Things like that. Fear
that makes
is
sense, because that's where my pain was. My pain was in the lower right side of my abdomen, like where your intestines or liver would be. And what was interesting is my friend Shannon, she's a really nice girl. She watches my show. She goes by the name Classically Soulful on YouTube. If you ever see her, say hi. Or anybody watching. I mean, I know we're not live.
Hi, Shannon.
I know. She was trying to explain to me the meridians, and I pointed out the meridian where it was actually where I thought it might have been stemming from. That goes back to like Chinese medicine too, right?
Yeah. So the meridians were introduced to me really early on. Like it was introduced to me through him in my 20s. And then I started bringing the meridians into my sessions 2 years ago because I had to start working on them on myself. Like so sometimes it is an emotion that's trapped. So so I'm glad you went to the hospital and got tested because you were in extreme pain. And when that comes on, we have no idea what's going on. So sometimes we have to go to the traditional route and get tests done. So I'm glad they did the test, and I'm glad that you're okay and they couldn't find anything. And your liver was basically letting you know, yeah, we've got some stuff going on here. But I want to let you know, like to clear the meridians is just as easy as clearing the chakras. That's why I include them in my sessions as well, because it's a very fine, detailed map of our anatomy, our energy body that's trying to run our physical body as well. So yeah, the liver would come up for me all the time, and and he would tell me it was anger, and I was like, I'm such a nice person, I don't have any anger. Yeah, I was internalizing it. I wasn't expressing it. Yeah.
And I think that's where we miss out in Western medicine, right? Is like we don't include the energy body or the etheric body when we're diagnosing our issues. We just think, oh, I have a problem with me. It has to be something physical. But a lot of times it can be energetic or etheric.
It starts energetic, actually. It starts like outwards in the energy quantum field, and then it'll move in and start. Our chakras will get blocked and our meridians will get blocked. And then when we have something happen like what you had happen, it means that something has been it's been festering for a while. That's a good word for it. And it needed to come up and show you, okay, there's something going on here. So you did, like I said, you did the right thing by getting it checked out. That's what I did in the beginning. I would go to my medical people and get like a diagnosis, and then I would go to my healing people and say, let's get down to what the issue is and clear it.
Well, can I ask you this then? Like, how do I overcome the anger part? Like, like the anger towards the world, like almost because I'm not that way, and you probably know that just from getting to know me. I'm a really good-hearted person, and I would give people a shirt off my back, but like I just have this like from time to time I get really triggered, You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think it's
Yeah.
stemming from all that what happened. You know what I mean? So
Yes, of course,
how
of
do we
course.
transcend that? Is it
There's a whole bunch of different ways. Like right off the bat, I'm feeling because I know some of us as light workers, starseeds, etc., have a hard time meditating. We talked about this a little bit last time. Doing some kind of physical activity to move it out of the body. So working out, running, like when you're up to it, right? Because that as well will release it. I went from that. I did that for years, and I still move my body every day in some way or another, like go for a long walk as well. You can also set intentions to heal and clear that before you do your workout to help move it out. The other thing is you could you can also set intentions like that and then take a shower and just imagine that everything is moving out of your body. There's a lot of us like to soak in tubs. Like I find as soon as if I'm super emotional, if I have like Epsom salts, sea salts, and some essential oils, you can even use some of the Indies, like a couple of drops of Indies spray. If you don't have access to a tub, you can do a foot soak, and it literally will reboot our physical body and take out the old information. So the old information shows up, like the emotions, when we get triggered and we go through a big healing, and we oftentimes will get sick. We'll oftentimes get like cold or flu symptoms. And our bodies are so amazing because they literally will excrete fluids to remove everything intense out of our body. So the other thing I want to share with you is, give yourself time to heal, because there's no time moratorium on our heart and what we need to do. So think about the situation as it came to you to move you into another deeper level of your healing. And our physical bodies need so much love and care right now. Like it's gonna get that way even stronger and stronger. Like I've been talking recently about, we're already being prepared for the huge Lionsgate portal in in August, the 8/8 portal, because right now all of us are getting so called up to be on soul mission or get ready for soul mission or move into another level of it, so we can unify as a frequency and start to really kick some butt, basically, and anchor in the light. Yeah.
I was going to bring that up. I was going to say, I think I'm having like ascension symptoms too. And I know you deal with that. Like, because
Yes.
I don't think I told you this last time. This just started happening like for the last couple of weeks. Like my crown and my pineal gland, or my third eye, they both tingle at times. And I've talked about
I saw part of that show. I went back and watched a couple of your shows, and I saw that. Yes. So that's amazing, right? So we acknowledge, like, when you start receiving tingling here and here, yeah, those are you're receiving the light codes. That's how I used to call it a helmet. And years and years and years ago, before anyone was out there talking like you are, like sharing this information, we would have to go and find the information in books, like in secret new age stores. Like nobody, not even the libraries, carried this information, and everybody would talk about it secretly, right? So but it freaked me out, because I would always feel all this energy coming into my crown chakra. And that's when I first started working with the Pleiadians. So to flip it around, when the previous question you asked me, I did everything backwards. Some people start working with their angels right away, or you know what I mean? Like they start with their healing, or everyone gets onto their path at some point, and everyone's being called up. If we're not doing exactly what we need to be doing for our physical body right now, things are going to start to rear their heads, so we can start taking better care of our bodies. Like even for me, the last 3 weeks, I've completely shifted around what I'm eating. I too went to my acupuncturist because I hadn't had an adjustment for like 6 months, and my physical body needed a meridian adjustment. And then I also am taking some new herbal supplements as well. So everything's shifted in the last couple of weeks, and that's because the light codes are getting stronger and stronger. You absolutely are experiencing ascension symptoms. Absolutely, because the solar flares are getting stronger and stronger, and what they're doing is they're flooding our physical body and our energy bodies with so much massive light to bring our DNA online, to bring our dormant DNA online. And what it's doing is it's going into our cells and our organs and our chakras and our meridians to show us where the blocks are, like what we need to do to fix them. Yeah.
I was going to say, what do you think this is all leading up to? Do you agree with like some of the new age beliefs that we're actually ascending to a fifth dimension, or do you believe it's just an expansion of consciousness, or do you think humans will
I think it's
actually
all. I think it's
evolve?
all of it. I think it's all of it. Yeah.
Okay.
And what I'm starting to understand is we all have the old structures within us. So the grid work that we talk about that's in and around the planet, that Indy does, that I do, that a bunch of people do as well, is also within us. So when we incarnated, we ended up with these old belief systems and structures in our cells, in our organs, and our healing and our awakening, which we can't go backwards now. There's no way. We're not going backwards now. We're not going back to sleep at all. Even if we try to go to sleep, our bodies will, and our soul will come in. You know, our soul's running the show now. Our higher self is running the show because we all agreed to be here at this time to be part of this experience. So it is a consciousness expansion. I think in the beginning, I did feel like we were, in a way, we are going to the fifth dimension. We're going literally to a new timeline and reality. That's what we're working towards, but we're doing it from within. So as the light codes are coming in, they're bringing in the new structures to anchor into our physical bodies, and then we project out the new. But we're also, you know, it's a slow process. I don't know if you've read a lot of Dolores Cannon, or
I love Dolores Cannon.
yeah.
I
So
have
there's that.
the 3 waves of volunteers. I used to have
Yeah. So she was like one of the people that I first watched on YouTube when she was still alive. And her messages just resonated with me, and it like, that's the big light bulb for me. I didn't start talking about starseeds till 2017. I knew that I was a starseed, but it got snoozed so I could still function in the regular world and work and do what I needed to do. Because as soon as I found out I was a starseed in the 90s, I just wanted to go home. I didn't want to be here anymore. And I think the anger is quite valid because this planet is cray cray. Like, there's so much craziness going on. And part of our awakening is this planet is a mess. Like, what the heck? That's why we're here, though. Like, we're the ones that are going to make the change. We're the ones, and we're going to make it. Yeah.
It's not just relationships, it's everything that we deal with on a regular basis. I mean, this world will find ways to bring you down, right?
Like, just even trying to figure out, you know, for me, trying to buy a new computer, like just me even trying to do that has been such a huge project, right? So there's just things that will make us spin out for days, and sometimes we just it's overwhelming. And I think patience is such a key component of being on this journey right now. Patience with ourselves and understanding that the collective and the way the planet's been running is a mess. And we came in to make it better. So I think part of what you can start doing as well, besides, you know, trying to find some kind of meditation and way to move it out, pay attention to when you get triggered, and then try to find some tools to help you, like, just drop that and move into something else. Like, if you're, you know, something happens, like, go for a walk, go for a run, go to the gym, something like that. Okay. Just shift it up, listen to some good music, whatever. I recommend making a little Post-it note list of things that will help to shift your frequency. And and sometimes we have to be angry and just get it out of our system. And then, you know, drink some water and then move into something that brings us joy. But yeah, I think that was the anger, looking back on it, you and I talking, that was the anger that I was suppressing, because we came in as very intuitive, awake beings, even as kids. We figured out pretty early on that our parents didn't know what they were doing, that our teachers didn't know what they were doing, that nobody's really running the show down here. So, so it can be, if we focus on what's going on in the third dimension, in the collective, we can get all caught up in the stories and get very, very either angry or go into fear or all of that. So I just keep trying to move myself into a higher perspective around it. But I too, I think patience and being impatient are two very key aspects of all of us being here right now. You know, like you and I were very patient today, me trying to get on the call, and maybe like 2 years ago that would have triggered me. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say it's weird, like you said that like our parents and teachers didn't know. Like it's almost like that those people that are above us that and maybe not our parents, but like the teachers, the people of society, they become the prison guards of this
Yes,
prison planet, you know,
yes,
and that's what we're trying to break out of. Like, and I think as
yes,
Starseeds, and I think we are doing that. It's
we
just
are. We are. Well,
right.
we've had to do it. We've had to do it covertly for years. Like I would say, even this year, probably around March, I started to feel a little bit more freedom around being able to move around a little bit more and not have so many energy attacks and that kind of thing. And all of this, all of what we're going through is to help us clear out the lower energies. So when things get triggered, we have to accept, okay, I'm human. I have these emotions and I have to release it. Sometimes when it's really big though, like if something really comes like, when the kettle boils, that means it, and we can look at it after, it's multidimensional. It's a trigger that we all came in to heal, and it has to kind of, explode like either a deep cry, or like anger needs to come out some way, because then we know how big it is. And that's one of the key things that we came in to heal and clear multidimensionally. And that's why I got into the Akashic Records. So I got into the Akashic Records after the Galactics came back to me in 2017 and said, hey, Pink Bella, we want you to start talking about, Blu-rays and Starseeds on YouTube. And I'm like, no, I'm good. Just going to be over here talking about twin flames. I don't really want to do that. Thank you. Have a good day. Right. And then they brought on a physical agony. My back went out and I was physically like not able to move for 3 days. And all I could do was put ice packs on, take some pain relievers until I could move. And then they kept bringing me these videos about starseeds, and they were showing me on YouTube how many people were already talking about starseeds, and I didn't know that. So
Yeah, it's a big
I
thing, though.
absolutely was agreeing with them. Yes, thank you for coming in and helping to heal me, and then I will start talking about starseeds, and I did.
Yeah, well, what is a Blu-ray? I mean, I don't get as deep into this as you and Indy. Like
That's
I mean, I
okay.
guess
That's why we're having this conversation. It's all good. So I learned about Blu-rays initially as a twin flame. So even the twin flame journey for me, I can talk about it very much from a higher perspective. If I had just ended it like a few months ago, it would be still painful. There'd still be a lot of pain that I would be working through as well. But I released myself from that aspect in 2018. So I've had plenty of space, so I can help twin flames, and it's no problem. But okay, sorry. Oh, Blu-ray. So the Blu-ray came to me as a word coding through the twin flame journey. There were Blu-ray twin flames, and I went, oh yeah, that's me. That's who I am. The Blu-ray twin flame will lead to the Starseed collective. And so I started digging in deep with Archangel Michael and different galactic councils. They wanted me to share about Blu-rays. I did like this whole little journey about me being a Blu-ray on YouTube. The more we share, like even what you're doing, the more we share with everyone, then the more that can come in. It's like we're giving transmissions and information to the collective, and then we can receive more information. So that's why I also started my YouTube channel, and I was doing Facebook Lives then too. And so as soon as I would always say, what's next? What would you like me to share on my channel next? And they would say, we want you to start bringing in transmissions. First from the Pleiadians, then, the Arcturians and the Andromedans. I worked through different aspects. And one day I said, what is the key for me to help as many starseeds as possible? And they said, we want you to start talking about Blu-rays. So I also did my own research about it and received information. So being a Blu-ray, all of us as starseeds are Blu-rays. We've got this frequency. We think about colors all having different frequencies, like even with the chakra chart will have different colors connected to the chakras. They'll all have a different frequency. Well, the blue frequency is off the charts. And it's something that we all have within us. And it actually is keeping us, it's our superpower, I call it. They said to me, it's within us, it gets activated, and then it keeps us on our path. It keeps us connected to source universal energy beyond this planet. And then, and we are protected. It's also a very protective frequency, but it helps to kind of like, if we think about all of us as starseeds and lightworkers around the planet, we're all in different locations, all trying to figure out what we're supposed to do individually, but as a collective, we're all working together. And that frequency also connects all of us as well. The blue is about protection, clarity, purpose, and it's a very, very high frequency, and it's keeping us aligned in our awakening, our ascension path, and our mission as well.
That's fascinating. So how can we tell, because I know you cover like Andromeda, Orion, Vega, stuff like that. Like, how can we tell where we are? Like, for example, like I had someone do like a starseed reading on me once, and I found out that I was possibly from Spica, but I'm not sure. Like,
oh, okay. Well, I do a couple things. I definitely am getting serious for you. I'm just listening to your higher self. We also have a lot of aspects as well. Earlier this year, I started to just do basic galactic astrology for everyone because for me personally, I wanted to see who was drawn to me and what aspects were coming in. So you just reminded me about that. So I used a tool just to find that out. But we, there's a couple ways to look at it. We're originally from somewhere, and it was probably our last location, or it was it would show up in our chart as our very first location. But what I've started to see as a pattern with starseeds is that we often have multiple aspects. So we have multiple planetary systems that we're connected to. So it's interesting how I worked with the Pleiadians quite a bit initially, and they still work with me, but they're not like the key team that comes in for me anymore. And I think when I did my own chart, my main aspect was Lyran. And I didn't even look into Lyra or look into my Lyran aspect till last year. So it's so fascinating to me. And of course, I love cats. I'm such a cat person. I have my activation at the Sphinx in Egypt. Like it's all, I can see it. It's like, oh, the universe has a great sense of humor. And we also, believe it or not, what you're doing is, and you're doing great, Rob, you're in the process of uncovering more of your map and more of your multidimensional information of who you are. So there's no rush to it. We just find these pieces and we just go, wow. So the Akashic Records came to me one day. I was out doing a walk by the ocean in the city, and my team just came in and said, this is going to be part of the main part of your work to help people. You're going to be able to bring in information to assist people to help clear. It's like we've got this digital library that's attached to our physical avatar and our chakras that pops in every once in a while and says, oh, by the way, you don't just have grief from this lifetime. You also suffered something, with the fall of Atlantis, or you had an Egyptian lifetime where, all your possessions were taken away from you, that kind of thing. So it can be exhausting to do it. Like I'm always doing this 24/7. I'm still clearing aspects, and we're also clearing for our ancestors and all of that. But yeah, there's a lot of pieces to ourselves, but I've gotten a serious energy from you as well. And when I first started doing this work, I was literally just working with the Pleiadian emissaries of light and the Sirius constellation, and it felt to me like most of us chose one or both of those constellations to be on to prepare for this mission.
Yeah. Do you think this is the most important time in a long time of
yes. Yeah, I joke sometimes, that a bunch of us got coerced into coming here. We're like, hey, come here on vacation, see Earth and the animals. And then we're here and we're like, hey, wait a minute.
Let me out of
here.
Yeah.
And it got super serious from 20, even now there's still so much going on out. Like if any of us dive into the mainstream media, our frequency can get dragged down in about 2 seconds because we understand that how crazy the movie is and how much sadness and everything that's going on, right? So we have to pull back and not focus on that and just go, what can I do today to take care of my body, to bring me some peace in my reality, and to help me move forward. Yeah.
That's cool. That's so interesting. Well, I'm trying to think of. I mean, I know I wanted you to see if you could pull a couple cards for the collective, but is there anything else you wanted to cover before we do that?
I'm just trying to think. Let me just think what I shared with you. I guess just to say that, yes, we're all here at this time. It's very important. It does, our mission, our soul mission, which I talk about a lot, we're all getting called up to move into another level of it. So things will start to be removed from people. And I think we just went through a really intense eclipse season. So I think that was like I envisioned like a snow globe, right? You remember those old snow globes where you just shake it, and then like that to me is what the eclipse season was like. Everyone got tossed and turned around.
Oh, it was crazy.
From the middle of April, we're just now coming up for air. So
it was really bad.
I would say, yeah.
It was real bad. I'm not even kidding. Like I kept seeing the full moon, and I was like, when is this gonna stop? Like this is like
I know.
Was literally just like you said. It was like insane. It was like
an
upside down world times 10.
Yeah.
Like,
well, for all of us, and Mercury went retrograde through there as well. So there were a lot of technical issues. When Mercury goes retrograde, we also have a hard time receiving guidance from our guides. And believe it or not, Mercury retrograde woke me back up when I was still in corporate. So they put me back to sleep so I could work in corporate. And then I ended up in this department where I'm a Gemini, everybody else was a Gemini. Like, it was crazy. And suddenly a couple of Geminis knew about Mercury being part of our planetary system, and also communications and technology. And I started to see this pattern every time Mercury went retrograde of the same people showing up with the same problems that had come like 3 months before. So I started to look into that. So me too, like I chose to come in as a Gemini. Mercury retrograde's been about patterns for me and to help people through that. What my guide said to me this last time or the time before that is, it's like a fog that comes in, and even our guides and everything, they don't have clear communication with us either. It's like a two-way, as below, so above. So it's kind of a messed up time for a couple of weeks. And then we also had this intense eclipse energy. Like, yeah, a lot of people had their lives turned upside down. A lot of people probably had to like move quickly. Jobs ended, relationships ended. The universe will literally, in the eclipse season, if we're not consciously setting intentions every day or trying to navigate our reality, the universe will come in and it looks like we're being picked on. Things will get removed or things will happen to us. But it's literally the universe is trying to get us to our highest timeline and trying to get us out of a loop.
I was going to say, because we have those loops and because we have patterns and stuff, do you see like a holographic nature to our reality? Or do you think or do you agree with some of the people that say we're in like a simulation? Or do you think it's somewhat like that to
it's all of the above. And I feel like some of the work that myself and a lot of us are doing right now is trying to get us to leave the matrix, to release the old matrixy programs within us, which is connected to the Akashic records, chakras, meridians. And we can, and I would love to just be able to push a button and have everybody have it released right now, but everyone has to go at their own pace and so to start with, our own personal healing is our way to our mission. Some of us are on mission, like you and me. We're doing our thing that's going to keep evolving, but I'm also still healing and clearing. Because there's always like another level. There's always something new, maybe that triggers me, or I have to dive in deep. This morning, I got a message of like, oh, you need to clear all these timelines where all your possessions were removed from you in multiple lifetimes. And I'm like, okay. So I don't react to it anymore, but it's like we kind of know when we're in a loop, when everything kind of comes to a standstill, nothing moves forward. Like, we try to open doors, we try to move forward, we try to do something, and nothing is moving for us. A big loop that many of us are, and I talked about this yesterday as well, was the abundance. So there's so many triggers around abundance and money on this planet, money, digital, all of these things. And that also is like an imprint from our ancestors. I found this really great quote the other day. We all have money wounds to a certain degree because we're healing and clearing them from other lifetimes, from our ancestors having everything taken away from them, which we ended up with in our DNA. And also we have all these things that were like imprinted on us just being here, saying that money is evil. And really, we're just in an exchange. We're this is why Dolores Cannon said this planet is like one of the biggest schools on the planet, because a lot of us as starseeds have never dealt with money before. We've never dealt with any currencies. We've never known about this kind of evil that was, cast on the money that we've worked with. And the thing is that it's just an energy exchange program. And I remember when I first started working on healing my money issues, when I got down to it, it's like, oh, that it's connected, that I would bless any money that came to me. I would just be grateful and like give it some love and circulate it back into the system, because we've had all these belief systems implanted on us, but in actual fact, it's just energy. It's an exchange system that we agreed. We agreed when we came here that we would somehow receive it and then give it for goods and services. And until the collective gets to, all of us get to a frequency where we understand that we don't need that anymore, that's going to continue in one form or another. Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
it is. Because I too, so we all thought we were ascending back in 2012. We, all of the people on YouTube were saying, yeah, we're going to get into 2012. Everyone's going to be on New Earth and we don't have to deal with this anymore. Well, here we are, 2023. A little bit has changed, but not much has changed, because we've been patiently waiting for more and more souls to awaken, to get on their mission and say no to the old energy, right? And that's part and parcel of the work that you're doing as well. You're bringing out a lot of new information and talking about topics that other people haven't wanted to talk about. So it's been fantastic. But we're still, it's slow. It's so slow down here for the collective to get it. And yeah.
It's interesting though. It really is. I'm trying to think if I have any other questions. I think that's it. But did you want to pull a card for the collective before we finish up? Or
yeah, let's pull a couple cards. I've actually got Light Stars decks as well. She gifted them to me, so I can pull a couple of those, because sometimes
she has a nice deck. Like,
yeah. So I started with cards first. I actually used to do like angel card readings. That's how I started, and I did some training with some people in the industry way back, like 2013, 14, and learned about tarot, because when we're drawn to things that we love, that interest us, we're literally bringing in gifts that we already know. And that was the same with the Akashic Records. I'd already been involved in sharing that information in other lifetimes, right? And when I talk about other lifetimes, everyone, I'm not just talking about on this planet. I'm talking multidimensional. We've had other lifetimes on planetary systems as well. So just to let everybody know that. But
that's interesting. That's really cool. I'd love to have you on to do readings for the audience sometime too. That would be great.
I'd love to do that as well. Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Or like you said, we can do it on Rumble so we can talk more freely. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
We want to do it. We can figure something out.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah, because I want to start doing some deep dives on Rumble, because I know. Even now, I know that there are still people that are losing their channels here on YouTube.
Yeah.
So that always, to me, is a touchstone of it's not quite being managed the way we all want it to yet. There isn't quite the free speech that we can all talk about everything on every platform yet. So
yeah, exactly. I agree.
Yeah. So that's always like, I peek in and go, oh, I just saw one of my counterparts just lost their channel. So I'm like you, like I'm keeping my topics on my regular YouTube channel at a high frequency, to not ruffle any feathers, but I would like to be able to speak more freely and talk about other things.
Me too. I'm the exact same way. It's just like getting people to go over there is like it's like pulling teeth. You know what I mean? Like it's like
I was going to talk to you about this. One of my ideas was we could start off on YouTube and then we could flip over to Rumble in the beginning.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, just to give you an idea of like what I have, like 10,000 subscribers on YouTube.
I know. Congratulations! I know. I'm so excited for you.
On Rumble. That just shows you that like it doesn't.
Not yet, but I'm starting to see more souls now move over to Rumble as well. So yeah, so it is happening. I agree with you. So it's not, and have shared this with my tribe as well on YouTube, that I'm only going to get into things to a certain level on YouTube, that I'm not able to dive deep into things because it's not possible. So that's why I've been wanting to move to another platform. I was doing it on Telegram. I do have a Telegram channel as well, but Telegram has a hard time saving things. So I would always have to, it was like Instagram. I'd always have to save the file and load it up, and it was just too complicated. I'm a starseed that likes easy.
Yeah.
I like it to go easy. So I stopped doing that, and not a lot of people were coming over to Telegram too, but it's like we have to, in a way, we have to be on multiple channels to be able to share whatever we need to share, for sure. Yeah.
I agree. I couldn't agree 100. I agree 100%.
Me too. Yeah.
You know,
And maybe maybe everybody wasn't ready for Rumble last year, because I actually did start my channel last year. Maybe everybody wasn't ready for it, but I think everyone's starting to understand, like, okay, I can click on this link and go to Rumble now, and it's okay. I'm still watching a video. It's like a retraining process. It's like looking at the collective. Some of the positive things that came out of the lockdown was now everybody is okay about doing Zoom calls. Like there are people that never would have gotten on their computer to do a Zoom call in their life, but suddenly everybody was working from home, and Zoom calls are like, oh yeah, let's get on Zoom. You know what I mean? So that in itself elevated the collective into getting more into, like, this is just part of our reality now.
I couldn't agree. I agree 110%. Like I totally agree. I mean,
okay. One of the things I'm going to do when we do another show is I'm going to try and get another camera so I can show the cards as well. So I just pulled them while we were talking. So this is interesting. First off, we got temperance. This is for everyone. I've just asked for the best messages to come in today. So we got temperance about balance. This was coming in from my last readings that I did the last couple of days. We're going to be asked as a collective and individually to try and find ways to stay balanced every day, because we're no longer in the retrograde. We've moved into the sun's now in Gemini, so we're in an air energy. We're no longer in the earth energy of Taurus. And the sun codes here in the northern hemisphere, we're heading into summer. When the sun gets stronger, the light codes get stronger, the solar flares get stronger, which means that our trying to stay balanced and hydrated and grounded is going to be our priority. So even the soul has, hold on, I'm not even holding it right. Sorry. Water in the cups, right? So, and feet near the water. So remember, all of you, to stay hydrated. Try and spend time, if you're near water, like a lake, a river, ocean. Try and spend some time. You don't have to go there every day, but just make sure that you're hydrating and like appreciating drinking lots of water. That was one of the messages for my acupuncturist. I thought, I can't drink any more water than I'm drinking. Like, how can he think that from his perspective, my body was dehydrated. So I started to realize I needed to add something more to my water, that my body wasn't absorbing whatever I needed in the water. So that was really fascinating to me.
What are you adding to your water? Are you putting like pink Himalayan salts or something? Or
I just switched to like sea salt.
Okay.
Because I have been using Himalayan salt, and for some reason my body wanted sea salt. I used to add a hydrator. You can buy those like hydrators that are not with electrolytes, that don't have sugar in them. That's really good as well. But just sea salt or Himalayan salt, a pinch of that is perfect as well. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a really good tip. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So you're welcome. So this is the Devil card in this deck. And that came in yesterday. So that energy, I call it Team D. They're still here. Our dark galactic friends, the AI, all of that. That energy is ramping up this week. So there could be some false flags that are coming. There could be a whole bunch of things that are coming. And that's why they're wanting us to stay balanced, to have our tools when something gets intense, to be able to go to our tools to reground and regroup. So when I go to my forest and I hug my tree, I'm not thinking about what's going on in the collective. And this energy cannot get to us when we're in nature, because we're at a higher frequency. So it's very rare that you would receive an energy attack while you're in nature.
It's interesting. I've been going to this park right by my house. It's like they have a lot of they have like everything there. They have a creek. There's a creek, because I live in Pittsburgh, which it's like landlocked. There's rivers here, but this park, there's like a track you can run around. There's
good.
There's all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's just like, it's enormous. It's like
that's perfect. And whoever had the vision for that, that's beautiful, right? So
Yeah.
that's even when the last time I visited New York, that's what I really noticed in New York as well. Like all the neighborhoods have these little parks with like fountains and water, and I thought that's so necessary, especially in cities, especially in cities for people to be able to go. Yeah, you're doing the right thing. Yeah, so when you're called to go there, go for sure. Okay, you're gonna love this. Everyone's going through. This came in yesterday too. All right, third eye activation. So that came in yesterday. So our intuitive abilities are so ramping up, and the other team doesn't want that. They don't want, like, they're still like they're still at this frequency. The other guys, they're like, we don't want the Starseeds and Lightworkers to stay awake. We don't want them to have their superpowers. So some of you might personally feel like you're going through some energy attacks, and just know that do something to raise your frequency. Binaural beats, go to nature, do something, because that energy will just leave. And it's because we're going through a massive third eye and pineal gland, pituitary gland activation right now. Yeah, we're getting ramped up. Wow. We also got the king. Yeah, we also got the King of Pentacles. Now, for me, this is source universal energy saying we are all abundant. We are all prosperous. We're clearing the layers to allow it to come in. And the belief systems that all of those beings out there have told us, only a few select people can have money, everybody else, no, that's all a lie, and that's what we're clearing out. And all of the journeys, whether it be around abundance or twin flame or our health, is really redirecting us back to our heart, our higher self, our divine connection, which is our solid connection. And that blue ray frequency that I talked to you about, that's all of our superpower to make sure that we're always connected. We are all connected. We're clearing out the clutter. So we're clearing out the old layers, the clutter. We're decluttering our energy so that we feel that connection more. You're going to feel it in nature. And I'll tell you, when I first realized, it was from Dolores Cannon, I think, one of her talks in 2013, I first realized that I still had this program running from when I worked in corporate, that I didn't have time to go outside. And I caught that voice that one day, and I was like, no, I love Earth. I came here to be with Earth. I'm going to go outside. So that flipped it around for me. But I feel like those messages, they're not just our ego, they're subliminal messages being sent to all of us constantly on the old airwaves, saying you're not worthy, you don't deserve that, you don't have time to do that, you don't have time to go outside. Yeah.
I have something interesting to share. Like I was doing so well. Like I have my podcast everywhere. I'm like on Spotify.
Yes, I just noticed that you're on Spotify. That's fantastic. You're all over the place.
So what happened was I was doing so good on Spotify that it was like I was sponsored by Spotify, and it was like paying my bills. Well, then just recently I got to figure this out now. Like that now, like that's over all of a sudden. So it's like you said, it's like the matrix brings things into our life. It giveth and taketh, right? So I don't know if they're going to renew me, or I'm hoping they do. But like, you know, it's like I don't want to charge my subscribers. I feel like
I know.
It's like
I have some ideas about that, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's like, as an example, someone receiving so much income from certain platforms that are mainstream, and then tomorrow everything gets pulled away. Yeah. So that will bring up, that'll trigger a whole bunch of stuff. Absolutely. Oh yeah, you take away any of our resources, we're immediately going to go into victim and why me and all of that. Of course, that's natural. But I'll tell you, it's happened to me as well. Things have been removed for me the last couple of years as well. And what I'm starting to do is, and this takes time, I'm starting to go with the flow, really understanding when one door closes, another one's opening. So once we get past the emotion, we can go within and go, what's my next directive? Where else should I go? And I think a lot of it, so I'll share with you, I had another platform that did the same thing for me. And it was interesting. As soon as I started that course, something got removed for me as well. And initially I thought it was going to come back. It didn't come back. And I contacted the company directly, and they didn't respond to me at all, which is completely unprofessional. So like no customer service at all. And I thought, well, and
it makes you wonder, right?
Well, no, and so I'm going to share with you, because what you were just talking about. So what that shared with me was the frequencies that are running that collective do not want our work. So we have to find another way, a higher frequency platform. So in a way, it was a blessing for me because I was using this platform and I'm building a new website. So now I'm not going to use them. I'm going to something completely different. So that's the same with you. You can, they may come back, but I feel there'll be other things. There'll be another platform that will sponsor you.
Yeah, I agree. And thank you for saying that. That's really well said. I mean, I just think it's like, it's interesting. Like, you know, I wasn't trying to be Joe Rogan or anything. Like, you know, you remember Joe Rogan went to Spotify, but no, I mean, it was weird because it was like, but this just shows you like that, like some platforms, like, and I'm not going to say,
Rob, can I ask you when that happened?
Well, it's supposed to end June 1st, but then I noticed that like my income started, but then they like say like I'm right now I'm on like what's it's called a host read ad where it's just a ad that I read, but then I could get on automated ads, so it's not completely over. But it's just like it's ending, and then I'm like, thankfully I do have some money saved, but it's like I don't want to run through all my money trying to figure out my next move. You know what I mean?
No, I agree, and I think like we're expanding out. Like other things are coming in to help support us. That's what the Jupiter and Taurus energy is all about. Jupiter is one of the big. So let's just talk about the planets for a minute in our galaxy. All the planets in our galaxy are connected to our chakra system. So when we go through big planetary movements, like Jupiter moving into a different energy, it impacts our reality and our frequency. So even myself, I've been adjusting to Mercury goes direct. I've been adjusting to, we're out of the eclipse season. I've been adjusting to Jupiter's now moved into a different energy. And basically I've been working with the Council of Jupiter and they're like, yeah, we've got a new council now. Like it changes for them as well. So the thing is that we just have to trust and have faith and surrender that, okay, that might change. So team of light, like what can I do? What other options should I be looking at right now to investigate for that tenfold? Okay. So there will be something that kind of comes in to take its place as well. We just have to be open to and it's hard to surrender. Honestly, that's another thing. It's hard to trust and have faith and surrender. That's what we're relearning. We've had lifetimes and lifetimes of being pushed down and not being connected to source and not being able, and if we haven't been here on the planet for multiple lifetimes, our ancestors got pushed down. So we're clearing out those fears as well. Yeah.
I agree. I'm so glad we did this today. I mean, you don't understand like how much you've changed like my outlook on life.
Oh, me too.
Last hour, like you've really like shifted my perspective, and like I love the way that you look at life. I just have to give you this compliment that like,
thank you.
I mean, like I know you can get into the starseed stuff, but it seems like you can dip your toes into the conspiracy stuff as well, and it seems like you know a lot about like what's going on.
Yeah. Because when we went through the first lockdown, my team came to me and said, you have to start looking at all the conspiracy theories. And up until then, I've been in Love and Light. I'm like, no, Love and Light, I don't want to look at it. But I had a roommate at that time and she was away. And they said, no, you need to start. So once I got into it, I couldn't stop. I was in this crash course to really get into the dark stuff because I needed to be prepared for whatever's coming. And also for my clients that were coming to me, they needed that assistance as well. So I was like, we're always in school. We're always bringing in some kind of aspect. So, just so everybody, that's when people come to my channel, you might think, oh, she doesn't know what's going on, but I absolutely know what's going on. It's just this year, I tried to dive into it more deeply last year and I was just under constant energy attack, which helped me increase my levels of protection.
That's something I haven't learned. Like, and I think that's a lot of times I'm getting attacked because a lot of times, like, like there's sometimes where like I don't even want to return a direct message or an email. Like, there's something I can't explain it. Like, it's I know I have to do that because it's my job now.
I know.
It's like an attack. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Let's just quickly, and then I'll finish the reading. I've talked about this before. I talked about it in the course. Find some kind of violet flame meditation that's clearing and healing, and try to listen to that. And you can find a way to listen to it while you're walking as well. But and you can put it on loop while you're sleeping. So once I found out and remembered about the violet flame, because it was brought to me like in the early 90s, and I thought, I don't know what this is. It doesn't work for me, right? Because I wasn't conscious of it yet. So it's one of our tools that has been brought back to us, but it's a transmutation frequency. And there are tons of meditations out there. I started with one with Archangel Michael, but there's I looked the other day because I looked for something to send to a client. There's 1 million violet flame transmutation meditations on YouTube now. So find one that resonates with you, and it will transmute everything for you. When we don't know what to do initially, we can go to meditations that other people have created to help us move through things. Okay. But it is absolutely, there's energy coming from all of our platforms. I run it through all of our platforms as well now. I run it through everything that I use on social media. I run it before I go to do my errands out in the world, because there's constantly lower vibrational energy coming through our devices and all sorts of things, for sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I just want to finish the reading for everyone because it's super positive. So we got the Wheel of Fortune. So energy is changing for all of us. And when this card comes forward, I usually like to ask, and that's a 10, right? I will like to ask what direction? Going backwards or forwards? No, it's going forwards. We got another 10, 10, 10. We got the destiny. And that everything that we've been working on right now is completing, and it's been to bring us spiritual strength. So we've all been kind of in our own little initiation process to get us to our right timeline, and now we can start moving forward and moving. And the message, I did such a long video yesterday because I just got this whole thing about soul missions are so important now for everyone to start just doing something daily that they love to stay in balance. It doesn't always have to be 24 hours, but to bring that balance into. So if you, like you, Rob, if you're finding you're always on your devices, your soul wants some time out. So maybe just what I've done with emails now, I only look at my emails unless I'm meeting with somebody twice a day now, because I can be on email all day.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed is it's easier to do at night. If you because there's something about the night energy which is more calming, and you can kind of focus on your work more.
I agree. Okay, I'm pulling just 2 more cards for us, just from Light Stars decks, and they're called Celestial Frequencies and Magical Dimensions. So the first one we got is number 45, Lifetimes. Now that's interesting because that is, let me just see if I can get this right. That's about the lifetimes, past lives, the Akashic records, the healing and the clearing we're doing. So all of us, the triggers that we've been going through are connected to past lives and triggers. That's what the card says. Past lives is connected to the triggers, okay? Especially if you wake up and you just I can't do this anymore, I want to leave the planet. Once you calm down, I do that too. Oh, I've wanted to leave a number of times. Bring the ships, take me home, I'm done. Once we get through that energy, we have to get the energy out of our body, right? Then we start diving into what triggered me. When did that start? Was that this lifetime? Was that childhood? Was it another lifetime? That's peeling the onion. That's how we start investigating, okay? Then the final message is number 14. You're going to love this. Disclosure, wow. Right? So that I do feel like we're going to be receiving more disclosure energy. If not this week, it's coming. And this is connected to number 14 to the Atlantean timeline as well. And on my final messages, a lot of what we're healing and clearing right now is from the fall of Atlantis. Many of us were in Atlantis, and we were there for the fall, and it was devastating. And it was also a fight between science, AI, and spirituality. And that's what collapsed that reality. So we can see the parallels about why we're here, to do the best we can every day to make sure that doesn't happen again.
That's cool. I'm so, you don't know how happy I am we did this.
Me too. Yeah.
Really was amazing. This, you really knocked it out of the park with everything. You really
you asked great questions. I'm just grateful to be here. I wanted to just share whatever I could share today. So
yeah. Well, I want everybody to go subscribe to your channel and can you tell everybody where to find you? And thank you so much.
Yeah. So I'm maybe we can put the links below the video as well, what I sent you. So you can find me on YouTube.
Did you send them to me?
I did, but I'll resend them. Yeah. So you can find me all on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, but I mainly do videos on YouTube now. My Telegram channel is for me to be able to pop in and do voicemails. I do post there every day too, but I try to do little indiscreet voicemails of things that I can't share on YouTube. And then I also am a Rumble, but I'm just growing that channel as well. So that's coming because I want to be able to do like deep dives, like the disclosure. I would love to talk about what I know is coming to the forefront, and I'm going to do a video about that. So that'll be on Rumble. And then, yeah, my website, email is the best way to get in touch with me, to book sessions and to contact me. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm going to hit stop recording now. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I'm going to post this tonight. So, yeah. And yeah, that's